On May 28, 2021, around 5:30 p.m., in Bharatpur city of Rajasthan, Dr. Sudeep Gupta was going somewhere by car with his wife, Dr. Seema Gupta. Dr. Seema was sitting with him on the front seat. She was just away from home. He had reached 750 meters away when suddenly near Nimda Gate, two youths on a motorcycle overtook him from the side and placed their bike in front of his car. When the bike suddenly stopped in the middle of the road, Dr. Sudeep Gupta applied brakes and stopped his car. Before Dr. Sudeep could understand anything, both the youth got down from the bike and came towards Dr. Sudeep, who was sitting on the driving seat of the car. One of them had tied a red-colored towel on his face, but the other youth was not wearing any cloth. Neither were they wearing helmets. Even Dr. Sudeep could not recognize those two youths. To know the reason behind placing the bike in front of the car, Dr. Sudeep lowered the glass of his car. Before Dr. Sudeep could ask any question to those youths, the young man with a handkerchief tied around his mouth took out his pistol and, without saying anything, fired a bullet into the temple of Dr. Sudeep. Before Dr. Seema, who was sitting in the front seat near Dr. Sudeep, could understand anything, the young man shot her too. After this, to scare the people passing on the road, they fired in the air from the pistol. Then both of them started running away on the bike, but due to panic, their bike was not starting, on which the young man who opened fire pushed the bike, then it started, after which both of them took a U-turn and ran back. Due to bullet injury, Dr. Sudeep and his wife Dr. Seema died on the spot. This incident took place in broad daylight on the most important road of the city. Many vehicles were passing by continuously on the road, but no one gathered the courage to stop those miscreants nor chase them. So both the youths ran away in the direction from which they had come, but this incident took place near the spot. It was captured in the CCTV cameras installed, although the police are also deployed at every intersection, but still both the youths fled from there by firing in the air, and the police did not even know about the nearby areas after the two youths ran away. People gathered at the spot of the incident. They recognized Dr. Sudeep and his wife Seema lying dead in the car. After this, they informed the police. After some time, the police also reached the spot. With the help of the people, the police found both of them in the car. They were taken out of the car and was immediately taken to the hospital, but they were declared dead in the hospital. This incident of murder of the doctor couple in broad daylight had spread panic in the city. Here, in the initial investigation, it seemed that Dr. Sudeep and his wife's murder was done out of revenge, but the surprising thing was that Dr. Sudeep was shot with 1 bullet while his wife Seema was shot with 4 bullets, and it was a matter of thought as to why the killer shot Seema 4 times. After this, the police came to know that Dr. Sudeep also had a girlfriend whose name was Deepa Gujjar. She also had a 6-year-old son. 2 years before this incident, on November 7, 2019, Deepa and Surya were also killed by burning with spirit in their house located in Surya city, Bharatpur. They were brutally murdered by setting them on fire, after which Dr. Sudeep, his wife Dr. Seema and mother Sulekha Gupta were accused of murdering Deepa and Surya. At that time, all 3 of them were also arrested. Then, after a year, that is in 2020. Between the months of August and July, all of them were granted bail and all 3 came out of jail. Actually, it started in the year 2017. Deepa Gujjar started working as a receptionist at Sri Ram Gupta Memorial Hospital in Bharatpur. The hospital belonged to Dr. Seema Gupta. Dr. Seema's husband, Dr. Sudeep, was a physician in the government hospital RBM, Bharatpur. After the government duty was over, Dr. Sudeep also used to sit in his wife's hospital for some time. Anyway, he had built a house above the hospital. Here, Deepa was married in Jagner village of Uttar Pradesh. She also had a son whom she named Surya, but due to family dispute, her married life was not happy. So she separated from her in-laws and started living in Bharatpur. Her son Surya also lived with her, and there was a divorce case going on with her husband. While working in the hospital, Deepa's love affair started with Dr. Seema's husband Dr. Sudeep, and then gradually their love was discussed in the hospital also. After this, when Dr. Seema came to know about their love, Dr. Seema fired Deepa from her job and instructed her to never try to meet her husband again. After this, Deepa again started life afresh. On the other hand, Dr. Sudeep had also become restless after Deepa was fired from the job. After this, both of them started meeting secretly. At the same time, Both of them also took care that Dr. Seema should not know about this at all. After that, this trend continued like this for several months. Meanwhile, Dr. Sudeep gave his luxurious flat located in Surya city to Deepa to live in. Deepa started living in that house with her son Surya. This house was for Dr. Sudeep and his wife. His wife had bought it a few years ago and it was lying vacant. Dr. Seema did not get enough time to ever go and see her house in Surya city, and taking advantage of this, one day Dr. Sudeep told his wife, Dr. Seema, that he had given house on rent, although Dr. Sudeep had given that house to Deepa to live in, and now Deepa and Dr. Sudeep started meeting fearlessly in that house. Dr. Sudeep used to bear all the expenses of Deepa and took care of the education of Deepa's son Surya. After this, when Dr. Seema came to know about this, she started seeing her married life in trouble. She also came to know that Deepa was planning to get the Surya City bungalow in her name and putting pressure on Dr. Sudeep to get formally marry her. Dr. Seema told this to her mother-in-law Sulekha. When Sulekha talked to her son Sudeep, Sudeep calmed his mother down by saying that, "Mother, there is no such a thing." Sulekha told her daughter-in-law Dr. Seema whole conversation that happened with her son. Then Seema placed the card of Deepa's spa center in front of her, in which the name of Dr. Sudeep was written along with Deepa's. But what could Sulekha do if she did not tolerate such actions of her son? But she was very angry, but due to old age and illness, she was helpless. She wanted to save the relationship between her son and daughter-in-law. After this, Dr. Seema found out in her own way that Deepa had spent lakhs of rupees for the spa center. Seema also knew that her husband Dr. Sudeep had invested all this money in his debauchery and spending lakhs of rupees on a stranger woman. Seema was very angry at Sudeep, but she also knew that her husband Dr. Sudeep would not give up on Deepa so easily. That is why she decided to teach Deepa a lesson. After this, as per the plan, on November 7, 2019, Dr. Seema along with her mother-in-law Sulekha reached Deepa's house in the afternoon. At that time, Deepa's house was closed, so both of them kept hiding nearby and waiting for her. Meanwhile, Dr. Sudeep also came to Deepa's house, but after seeing it locked, he went back. During this, Sudeep did not see his wife and mother present there. After this, around evening, Deepa reached home at 4 p.m. and after some time her son Surya also came. After this, Dr. Seema and Sulekha went to her house. There was a big fight between Deepa and Dr. Seema, and due to this fight, Dr. Seema got angry. She came and took out a bottle of spirit from her purse, sprinkled it on the furniture lying in the house and set it on fire. After this, she went out from there saying that, "Now I will see who comes to save you." Having said this, Dr. Seema locked the latch from outside so that Deepa and her innocent son could not come out. Due to the spirit, the fire spread immediately. Surrounded by flames from all sides, Deepa kept calling Dr. Sudeep and her brother Anuj and pleading for help. Deepa and her son were screaming, but still the Dr. Seema did not feel pity on them. She stood outside waiting for them to die. Meanwhile, Deepa's brother Anuj lived in Neemda Gate area of Bharatpur city. Hearing Deepa's request, Anuj immediately reached her house on a bike. But when Anuj reached there, he saw Deepa's house was burning. His innocent nephew and his sister were screaming for help. Both of them were running here and there. Seeing this scene, Anuj was in agony. Without thinking anything, Anuj opened the latch from outside the house and threw himself into the flames. He entered the house, but despite all his courage, he could not save his sister and nephew. He saw both of them burning alive in front of his eyes. Being surrounded by flames from all sides, Anuj was also seriously injured. He was burnt and could come out with great difficulty. After this, he was admitted to a hospital in Jaipur. After a few days, he recovered, but after such a big revelation in this incident, there was a feeling of taking revenge for Deepa's murder. Due to fear of murder of Dr. Sudeep and his wife, the police started searching for Deepa Gujjar's brother and sisters. Meanwhile, the police had also obtained many CCTV footages from the incident site, and from these footages it was revealed that the young man who shot the doctor couple was none other than Anuj. To find out Anuj and another young man who was riding a bike with him, the police arrested Deepa's sister Radha and interrogated her. In fact, Radha herself had lodged police complaint of her sister Deepa and nephew Surya of murder 1.5 years ago, and a case of murder of nephew Surya was registered with the police. Well, after showing the footage to Radha, she came to know that the other youth was her relative Mahesh. Mahesh was a resident of Dholpur district. After the identification of both the murderers, the police started searching for them. Bharatpur Range IG sent photos of both the accused to many nearby districts including Bharatpur and Dholpur and instructed police officers to search for them. CCTV cameras installed on various routes of Bharatpur city were also examined so that the exact direction of escape of the killers could be known. But the police did not get any success. When the name of Deepa's brother Anuj came to light, the police searched his details and found out that Anuj was also involved in the firing incident that took place on March 16, 2021 in Rural town of Bharatpur district. Here, Dr. Sudeep had been murdered, but many patients were admitted in his private hospital at that time. On getting information about this, the police officers, with the help of the hospital staff, shifted all those patients to another hospital and also the close relatives of Dr. Sudeep. During the lockdown, information was given by phone. Due to the murder of a doctor in broad daylight, questions were being raised on the police and the government. Well, since both the children of Dr. Sudeep were minor and the mother was suffering from cancer, the police took the dead bodies of Dr. Sudeep and Dr. Seema. After the post-mortem, both their bodies were handed over to Dr. Sudeep's sister. After this, in the presence of the police, both the bodies were cremated together on the same pyre. Meanwhile, despite continuous raids, the police did not manage to find both the murderers on the second day as well. No clue was found, and the main reason for this murder could be known only if one of the accused was caught. Here the police was interrogating the relatives and acquaintances of the accused and also tracing their mobile phones, and then on the third day, that is on May 30th, 2021, the police in this case arrested Dalit, resident of Bharatpur, and Nurbin Singh, resident of Dholpur district. Actually, Dalit was the brother-in-law of wrestler murder accused Mahesh, and he had given Mahesh the bike with which Mahesh and Anuj committed the murder of Dr. Sudeep. Dalit used to do wrestling and also used to give money on interest to people by mortgaging their land, property, or jewelry, while the second accused Nurbin Singh is a friend of wrestler Dalit. During his interrogation, it was found that there was a conspiracy to murder Dr. Sudeep and Dr. Seema. The crime was hatched at wrestler Dalit's house. To carry out this crime, Dalit had also given a bike to Mahesh a few days ago. At the time of the crime, Mahesh was riding the bike because both of them were scoundrels and all the tricks of the criminals were in vain. They also knew the ways to escape from the police. The police had come to know about the main reason behind the murder of Dr. Sudeep, that whenever Deepa's brother Anuj saw Dr. Sudeep and Dr. Seema, he gets filled with anger and he wanted to take revenge. Anuj used to keep burning in the fire of revenge. He used to get scared remembering the scene of burning of his sister and nephew. Meanwhile, Dr. Sudeep and his wife Seema were out on bail, but still this case was going on in the court. During that time, a compromise agreement was signed in this case. Talk started going on, but when things did not work out, Anuj, who was burning with the fire of revenge, planned to decide the matter before getting justice. He himself had planned the horrific death of Dr. Sudeep and Dr. Seema. In this work, he used his friend Mahesh, resident of Dholpur, was also included. After this, Mahesh and Anuj reached Bharatpur with the bike of Mahesh's brother-in-law wrestler Dalit. Although Anuj lived in Bharatpur only and used to keep an eye on every activity of Dr. Sudeep, but then he also did research of them for several days before carrying out this incident. Then, when he was convinced that the doctor couple leaves to go somewhere by car every day around 4:30 to 6:40 p.m., then on May 8th, he told his friend and took Mahesh along, and riding on the bike, both of them stopped Dr. Sudeep's car and quickly took out their pistol and shot both of them with bullets. In this way, Anuj had taken revenge for the murder of his sister and nephew. After this, the police on June 1st, Mahesh was arrested from Karali. Mahesh was the person who was driving the motorcycle at the time of the incident, but Anuj was still away from the police. And then on June 14th, 2000, the police got information that the murder accused Anuj Gurjjar is coming to Bharatpur to meet his girlfriend. As soon as the information was received, several police teams were formed and a blockade was made, and Anuj was also arrested. After this, the police prepared a charge sheet and presented all the accused in the court from where they were arrested. Friends, what is your opinion about this entire incident? Do tell in the comment box, and if you like the hard work, then like this video and also share it. If you have not subscribed the channel yet, then subscribe our channel. Thank you.